Hello and welcome back to Disco Elysium. It's me, David, and I'm going to interview Titus. Titus? This gentleman. And if I can... Interesting. That's an interesting thing to just idly say. I'm just going to have a look at this thing. It's a bowl. Oh, it's a pontoon. Photos of men in overalls toting guns and Union placards. You see hawthorn bushes outside. Behind the dockwork is a ceiling-height window. The hawthorn branches scrape the glass like bony fingers. You see 2, maybe 3 bushes grown into a single thicket over a period of circa 50 years. It takes some time for a hedge like that to form. Mysterious door seen. It's not time yet. What do you mean it's not time? What does that mean? You just... what? Squint. There's a little side panel up there to let some air in. No need to open it in spring, it's too cold outside. I wonder why it's saying it's not time yet. We can give it a punt. Nothing, just black tangles like the hair of an old woman, motionless. The wind in the yard doesn't reach the hawthorn, nor does light come in from this window. Except there will be something to see, and I know there will be something to see. Because I identified that there is something to see. I am glad I looked. Let's hold this interview.
This is where you say your bit.
A broad-shouldered man points at you with a beer can.
Detective?
The lieutenant acknowledges you with a sharp note. He's leaving it to you. Don't say anything yet.
Hey, dipshit. You hard of hearing or something? The boss man's talking to you.
Do not let their squeals disturb your serenity. These are but simple peasants, sire. You can calm down, drama, because you're ridiculous. The chatter is too inane to reach your ears. Raise your chin and gaze into distance like a prince. Let's try it.
What, is he fucking kidding? This guy high or something?
But this little guy looks at his mates in disbelief.
Hey, asshole, up here. We're talking to you.
We are looking for Titus Hardy.
The lieutenant turns to the broad-shouldered man at the end of the table. We need to talk about the man hanged out back.
Oh, this is about him? A real looker, that one.
You sure took your time, huh? Waited for him to get all ripe and pretty for you.
Oh, he was a real pretty boy. Hanging up there, letting out that pretty boy smell.
I can't for the life of me understand why you did it. I mean, I would have just left him up there. You must really like cleaning up other people's shit.
You might want to start asking your questions now. It's not going to get better than this.
Do a head count first. Connect these men to the tracks you saw in the yard. Chances are they're going to match. Thank you, visual calculus. Boot size 44, blonde, 30s, overbearingly masculine. Sitting on his right, standard working boot size 45 or 46, eldest in the room, probably mid-50s. Smoker, quiet. Across at the other table, hobnailed working boots, size 43, gang tattoos, Mesk or Sarah Merizian, in his late 30s, early 40s. He spent his youth in Villalobos, a housing project in the Jamrock Quarter. There were incarcerations, hard to say what else. The ink is fading. And then standard working boots, steel reinforced toe, size 46, the big dick, wide at the shoulders and lean at the hips. Rugby cap, fingerless gloves, and numerous scars. A little under 40. The emblem on his vest says Rowing Club. A little patch below it reads T. Hardy, Captain. In the far corner, standard working boot, steel reinforced toes, size 44. 40-something, non-alcoholic beverage in hand. You squint. Is that a plectrum? Where? On the neck, on his neck. Forget it, it's not important. Let's call this one the musician. And the little guy. Size 41 with the light step. Not a child after all. An older man with a rat face, meaning watery eyes and 2 front teeth missing. In the middle, heaving and wheezing. Big guy. Boots size 46. Deep marks. Probably carried the victim over. He alone is 130 kilos. And the man in armour, and you could easily exceed 220. In conclusion, these 7 are the actors on the crime scene. The footprints were theirs, but there's a discrepancy. The odd soul. Exactly. You've stood there for about 4 seconds not saying anything. Hit them with questions. Where's the 8th Hardy? What the fuck is with you, fella? Titus is staring at you with his head tilted. I found 8 sets of footprints, but there's only 7 of you. Where's the 8th Hardy boy? What are you talking about, madman? There's no 8th Hardy boy. There's 7 of us and we're all here. He sizes you up. Or what, you want to be the 8th Hardy boy? We ain't hiring. He shakes his head. Actually, boss, we've been talking. We think she could maybe... She says an 8th Hardy, and it's a Hardy girl. Who might it be? Elizabeth? The gardener? Probably the woman that purchased my pistol. Shut the fuck up, Glenn. He roars. I do the talking here now. What the fuck do you want, cop? It has to be good if you won't let you pursue it. Looks like the lieutenant thinks so too. So let me get this straight. There is an 8th Hardy boy. It's a she, and you don't like us talking about her. That's right, we're not talking about this. This is a private Hardy boy's matter. Nothing to do with your shit. And he points at the lieutenant. You're not cops here. Don't go digging around if you don't want a bullet in the back of your head. I'm watching you. Hello for admitting that you shoot people. Good. We're all watching each other. The lieutenant adjusts his spectacles. Officer, your question. There's no point in pushing it further. He thinks. This is already a victory. We'll learn more about this 8th Hardy sooner or later. I'm going to take off for now. That was incredibly valuable.
Yes?
Time to head out. Have a think on the streets. Let's review. Well, I did interrogate them. Those in white are available to try now. So there's these things here. I don't want to do that. Cargo container door. I reckon I could do a lot better with the Joyce Messier investigation stuff. This is important because ultimately, actually no, I should see if I can speak to. What's up with this gentleman here? He's new. Okay, fine. Nothing at all. This gentleman may recognize the bullet.
The purity of snow always reminds me of the purity of a man's soul, if he's got principles.
He seems to be playing in a crater. Yes, the man nods. The terrain here provides an interesting variety to a familiar game. Doesn't have anything to do with all the bullet holes I've seen around. Yes, he replied with a reluctant nod. It was left by heavy artillery fire. Okay, it's a crate left by heavy artillery fire, but why? Why what? Why was the heavy artillery used? Because that's what happens when communards hijack your country, execute your supreme leadership, and turn your capital into a slaughterhouse. They use heavy ordnance to clean up your home. Maybe we can do this history lesson later. Fine. You see, I hoped that there would have been some way to get something out of that, but I'm not sure. How many skills do I have left? I do not feel like I can improve any further in this area. That needs hand-eye coordination. It cannot be raised any farther right now. That is very frustrating. Looks like I'm locked out of that for the time being. Very, very disappointing. Who are you, big man? Who are you? Big woman. You see a sturdy woman humming to herself. She seems to be browsing books. Hello. No ceremonies, just hello.
Hello.
She nods, her attention fully focused on reading. Who are you?
Me? No one. I'm just a working class woman.
She doesn't really want to be disturbed that much. If she's such a working class woman, why isn't she working? Shouldn't a working class woman be working?
Not all the time. Right now I'm browsing books. Even a working class woman needs something to read.
Good, good.
It is.
Leave. Well, that was a worthwhile conversation that went nowhere. I think I can have another try at this mural. I should check to see what's changed. I've got a bit of time before this evening where I've got a few objectives to complete. Joyce is who I want to speak to right now. Docking reserve for residents of Rue de Saint Ghislaine 33A. Geisa, I don't know.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
Got some questions about reality. I can retry that. Huzzah! 6 kilometers southwest in the Valley of Dogs. Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner Emil Mullins whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind." Tilbrook answers, finger on the trigger. "Don't worry, Emily." He pulls Emil. He pulls on it slowly. Slowly now, he'll find it again. We always do. What am I? You? You're an officer of the RCM, she said energetically. The Revachol Citizens Militia. Precisimundo. Good. And what is the Revachol Citizens Militia? Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol detective. Yes, the lieutenant steps in to make a gesture encompassing you both. We are the Revachol Citizens Militia. He's being sarcastic. You said de facto. Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin. What do you mean? The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency Wayfarer and Elements Acts, 3 pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital. All 3 are good to know. The lieutenant looks up from his notes. When we're out policing. Okay. So I'm basically a thrall to foreign interests. There's nothing basic about your role, detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers like it, she leans in. But on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you. Why? The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the International Zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens initiative, she smiles. They will never forgive you. That's somewhat of an exaggeration, the lieutenant interjects. In reality, ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement. Revacholians get to keep the peace in Revachol, and the coalition doesn't have to worry about it. He coughs. Anyway, sorry to intrude, please continue. Yes, Lieutenant. Permit me to conclude with this. Who you are to me is the police. The only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. Say nothing. And if those authorities drink so hard they need to help with one of the basic terms of reality, well, I am here to help. She bows and smiles. I don't want to... I mean, that does unlock 2 skills. I'm not sure they totally matter. So that would unlock a check here and a check elsewhere. That's half done. Screw it. Why not? That's all for now. Let's talk about reality. Good lord. That is so low. What a waste of a skill. Why did I do that to myself? I should call Alice back. Well, at the very least, I guess it's kind of useful. There's a few things I do want to check on. Namely, I want to go look in the place we broke into. I think there's a witness. Conceptualization. Why am I looking at this wall? Cindy's artistic impulses are infectious. Useful. Why must we stop looking at this wall? Every time we pass by, we have other business to attend to. So there is a woman who has uneven feet. This is incredibly important. The smell of disinfectant in the room smells like chemicals. Well, that's changed. Do you really think this is the same person who put the dead man's clothes in the trash? Who knows? The lieutenant opens his notebook. I'm not expecting too much from this clothes in the trash lead either way. It might turn out to be some random local matter, but still a nice coincidence. Could you even ask Everett who this person is and what to have done here? That's true. I'm trying to use Everett. There's not much more to it than that. I won't go into the apartments just yet. But I still need to find out about the gun. With no way of improving my hand-eye coordination skill, I'm kind of stuck on that one. Indeed. A bit of a meddlesome problem, really. I do like how the skill system works. My understanding is that drugs help you and are actually important to take. But I'm trying to avoid taking drugs because I'm a good boy. Let's call the police back. Wait, I am the police. Have you heard back from the ICP about the serial number? Yes, the arm was produced by Fairweather in their facilities in Betancourt, Sur-le-Clef in 42. It was part of a special order for Corps de Pharmacie, a security firm contracted to protect the interests of the Iranians' pharmaceutical companies in the Seminine conflict. She browses pages. So it seems the armour went to Seminine. That's where the paper trail ends, though. Even the firm proven difficult to track. Corps de Pharmacie has been renamed several times over in the years since the arm was issued. Do you know what it's called now? The most recently registered firm that the ICP has been able to connect to the CDP is a military contractor called Krenel, and the one before it was Downwell. I think they might be the same contractor. A suit of armour like this would have been manufactured with a particular person's physique in mind. You should ask for whom the suit was fitted. A suit of armour, yes. Yes, but the ICP tends to be reluctant to share private sector records. I could try to talk them into it, though. Yes, please do try. It's imperative that we learn whose armour this was. Sure, call back tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have information for you then. I'm done with the radio for now. Bye-bye. Because then we know who the victim may be. I mean, there's no sure answer to that, but it's a lead. Yes. Fritter. 3 T's, how idiomatic. Oh, and they're already at it again. Great. I haven't spoken to him too much, I feel.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you!
What is a strike? When a bunch of ungrateful, lazy cockroaches can't get their act together, decide to block honest work for other people, he shifts uncomfortably in his workers' overalls. What do the strikers want? Beats me. They mumble on about boardrooms and workers' rights, while we, he raises his fist and starts shouting again, have the right to work. When the man moves around, you perceive some serious abs under his tight-fitting shirt. This man is in shape. There's something odd in the way he carries himself. His set of clothing looks vaguely mismatched. The different pieces of the attire seem ill-fitting, as if it's not actually made to fit him. What does that mean? His shirt is far too small and an unpleasantly tight fit, while the overalls held up by a belt seem to fit a man with much more corpulence. You wearing new clothes? He ignores your question, choosing to instead turn to the emaciated workers, raising both fists in the air. The clothes are obviously not his. Silence is the answer. There's something off here, but he won't say what. You've been talking to him for quite a while now. Something is off with this guy. Ask him where he's from. Yeah, where exactly are you from? What's it to you? Deep suspicion drips from every syllable. Routine. Part of the investigation. Am I a suspect? His eyes narrowed. Done no crimes, only fight for the rights of people. Already got that. I'm interested in your background. You're all workers, right? Workers stick together. Came from the eminent domain in Jamrock. Backgrounds in odd jobs, heavy lifting, cargo hauling, bouncer work. I know the drill. A bouncer? Where? I frequent a lot of bars. Maybe it's one I know. Worked at Territorial. Ring a bell? Doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, I think I've been there. It was a long time ago. The man is quickly losing interest in talking with you. Alright, let's cycle through this again. I thought you looked real familiar for a second there. No, I don't think we've met before. Same result. I don't really drink, but work has taken me to some. Which one was it? Territorial. Never heard of it. Are you lying? He squints at you, a little spark of violence gutters in his eyes, then he blinks and turns to his men. We're done here, I have a strike to break. Cool. So he doesn't react well to that. That's interesting.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
That weasel I visited. Turns out he has one hell of a colonial mug collection. Yeah, he nods, rubbing his chin. The janitor who gave me the key to his apartment said the guy's a bit of an asshole. Janitor, hey? Yes, his mug collection certainly represents antiquated social values. Like I said before, I don't know much about this weasel, but the boss man said he's a real piece of work. He touches his beret. Thanks for helping out, friend. Actually, do you know anything about the Hardy Boys? Los Hardys? He smiles. They're an independent militant group, a bit too high-strung, but it comes with the responsibility. They're sort of like you, preserve the rule of law and all that, except it's Everett's law. He takes a swig from his flask, but really they're just like you. Gotta run. Okay, so they're Everett's boys. Let's see what Measurehead's doing. Considering Measurehead now likes me more, I guess. I want that box.
Your race descent has only worsened since I last saw you. You
What?
have really let yourself go.
Why are you not with the Hardy Boys? I am not the first line of defense, I am the last. He looks towards the coast defiantly. In addition, these so-called Hardy Boys are an effeminate clique of bodybuilders. Their company is spiritually degrading. You pick up on something artificial in his tone, like he's putting on an act. This is unlike him, he's usually more himself. But you're all part of the union. The hardy manlets are on the pay of the company. I answer to the union alone, and I do this out of race heroism. Finance is an alien concept to the Seminoles. Now leave me be, I must luxuriate in the company of my women. There's more to it. What have you got against them? Fine. They've recently fallen under the influence of a possibly sexually perverted female vagrant and a narcotics peddler. It's shameful. Thank you, Measurehead. Thank you very much. Who do you mean? Find out for yourself. Endomorphic blob. Interesting. So, we're looking for a problematic woman who may be a drugs dealer. So, interesting. Very interesting. I do like how there's new things to just identify as I walk around. A giant aspirin on the pillow and a pattern of coffee rings on the armrest. Someone is habitually chilling next to the radio. Let's see if there's anything new in here. No, I guess not. Actually, there is value in checking places I've already checked. Just on the basis that it's something to look at. See if I can rhetoric this door open again somehow. It doesn't make any sense, but I can try. Persuade the door to open. Been in the world for 2 days. What? It's impossible to open a container with rhetoric. Maybe you're losing your mind. Maybe I am. We need to speak with Everett. It is unfortunately integral, as much as I despise the gentleman. So we will get that done. We need to make another 8 real before the end of the day. Howdy, buddy.
Oh, hey, mister. I need to be back to talk with old Leo here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It's like Lady Larice said when she opened a bathhouse in the basement of my apartment building. They can only get so far before they're aching to get back. And a lot of folks really did keep coming back.
I have some question for you if that's not too much trouble. No, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. It's like the old saying goes, wisdom withers if not shared, and old Leo is always up for sharing. You're Ubi, right? Oh yes, born and raised in Iraesh, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then, too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. Oh, that's not very kind. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from, no sir. Those are just nasty rumours. Thank you for clarifying that, sir. Do you work here? Yes, yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way, Leonard Belloc, but everyone calls me Leo. The little man raises his hand in a welcoming gesture. I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town. See Mr. Edgar's right-hand man and Mr. Edgar's right-hand man when Mr. Everett is away, he chuckles. Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady. A good-hearted chuckle again. Not Miss Beaufort. Who is this Miss Beaufort? The lieutenant looks up at Leo. A real pretty lady with a skin like those dew and sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done, and me and the missus sit down beside the radio. But I can't just listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here, and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Hold on, who's this Miss Beaufort you mentioned? Oh, Lizzie, she's a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back she was all fancy and lawyerly, yeah. He respects that word, that's obvious. But she's a real nice girl, grew up in this here neighbourhood, knows everybody and gets along with everyone. Real pillar of the community one day, I'm sure. He goes on, if my missus and me was to have a child, I'd be really happy if she turned out like her, but she can't have kids. Dr. Lemaitre said so, and she knows about such things. Being a doctor for almost 50 years, she has. He sighs and falls silent, watching you meekly with his blue eyes. Law school? Could she be talking about the union fixer, aka the gardener? Okay, so this is the union fixer, the gardener. Looks like it. I'm not sure what a fixer is, but she's a real nice girl, smart as a whip too. The little guy smiles a disarming smile at you. Telling the gardener how you know her name might throw her off, perhaps something to consider later. Alright, I'm off, buddy. Great, so they've got a trained lawyer. This is looking more and more like a criminal organisation and less like a union. But then it always did look like a criminal organisation. But I mean, properly like one now. Mr. Everett.
Mr. Dubois, every worker?
Is an organ in the great state organism of war. Also looks just like me. Member of the board has a question. Member of the board?
That's right, Mr. Dubois. I see the Socialist Democratic fervor now burns in your heart too. How can I help you today?
I did it, Everett. I turned it off. The big man looks at you confused. The shady brew, you told me to make it even shadier. I didn't. It had alcohol in it, now there's no alcohol. Did I? Well done then, Harry. I like not knowing about it, and I'm sure you made the right call. I spend the whole day delegating tasks, and it's a great relief to see people taking initiative. I don't even want to know what all that means. Brew, shady, alcohol, turned off. I'm going to let the world surprise me. I don't feel the need to tell him that. I opened the door you asked me. Can we discuss the murder now? I'm very glad to hear that, Harry, he says with a smile. One question, you didn't actually happen to stumble in and see what's inside the apartment, did you? He's trying to figure out if you're lying. The deal wasn't for me to go inside, so I didn't. I may have gone inside and seen a collection of racist mugs. Just as I thought, culturally antiquated mug collection. What a weasel. He shakes his head, pissing on Everard's Rainbow Coalition. But you have a massive racist in your organisation. Never mind. He was testing you, and you succeeded. Now let's get down to brass tacks. It's time for men like me and you to figure out who's killed who and why. He pretends to roll up his sleeves. Real police work is going to start happening now. I promise you, Harry, this is going to be good. The mug collection I mentioned was in the apartment. I found a similar mug in the trash with the hanged man's clothes. I don't see the point in telling him that information, really. It seems a bit risky. You said the lynching and the strike are related. How? By now I'm sure you figured out who the dead man was working for. The bad guys. Wild Pines. Sent to scare us, another violent measure of the top hats against us flatcaps. What do you mean? Harry, the strike is the culmination of many, many mistakes made by the Wild Pines group. They tried to shut the strike down by sending in armed mercenaries. You mean a victim? He nods gravely. A security contractor, can you imagine that? Workers standing in peaceful protest, united in the spirit of fellowship, and they send hired killers to mow us down with machine gun fire. Probably to protect their own assets, because you're clearly trying to steal them. I'm talking beasts. Oh, you're dehumanizing him, great. Hardened killers from proxy wars in Yusut, Semenine, and Saramarazia. You name it, they've done it. Raping, killing, burning villages, killing little children for the Senorita Pineapple Company, Harry. Everything they did there, they brought over here. They want to return Revachol into a third world slum. Honestly, the only thing they didn't do is kill the village elephant. Go on. Now, I haven't personally witnessed the brutalities out there. I have the luxury of staying in my container, you see. If I need to do something, they just move my container. If I need to go somewhere, they just move my container. Wait, they move the container? Yes, I'm an old man, Harry. My legs aren't what they used to be. They lift my office with that big crane. It's actually very fun, you should try it. But enough about me and my fun container. His face turns serious. The killers the company hired, I think they were 3 of them, all hardened commando types. One of them got downright suicidal, getting drunk, violent, a little rapey. He shakes his head. Even their own negotiator couldn't control him. That's your boy, the one who likes hanging out in trees. By negotiator you mean Joyce. God damn it! Harry, he says, ignoring the lieutenant. What you need to realise is, we dock workers are not pushovers. We got grit, Harry. This whole neighbourhood does. Push us hard enough and we push back. And when we do, he raises his finger, we push to kill. Who exactly did the pushing? There's a militant wing inside the Union. A group of people whose duties don't involve manual labour, but peacekeeping in the neighbourhood, making sure everything runs smoothly. That sounds a bit... Yes, it does sound a lot like organised crime. I get the feeling here that we're getting to a point where they're not even going to hide the fact that they did actually commit the murder. They're like you guys. He nods to you and the lieutenant. Idealistic people who want to make sure bad things don't happen, and if they already have, well, punishment must follow. Again, it does sound like organised crime. So these idealists killed our victim. Okay, case closed. Solved it. One day, Titus Hardy, leader of this peacekeeping faction, comes up to me and says, "Boss, socialist democratic fervour drove us to take it upon ourselves to kill this beast that was burdening the land." You probably worded it differently, but that was the idea. It sure sounded to me like they've killed him. I gave them 2 weeks paid leave and told them to lay low to avoid retaliation. Aren't you worried we might arrest them for this? Oh, I'm not at all worried about that. These are not the kind of men who get arrested. They're Martinez boys. Tough and gritty. I'd like to see the man who takes them in. He chuckles. Besides, I sent my lawyer girl to look after them. You place a lot of faith in that lawyer girl. Perhaps this is a tactical error anyway. I wonder if that's the woman that Measurehead doesn't like. Let's ask about the mug. I don't think it matters at this point. This guy's being brutally honest most of the time. Racist mugs in the trash and in the apartment. He grabs his head with both hands. You guys are just light years ahead of me. I have so much confidence in the ability of your organisation. I'm relieved you're doing this and leaving me to do what I do best, helping people with the power of politics. Yes, yes. Do you think this weasel is somehow connected to the murder? No. No. I don't cross paths like that. He shakes his head, laughing. All I want is for you to succeed in your investigation. Would never complicate things for you. Oddly, it seems to be true. But this weasel might have cleaned up after the killers. Believe me, Harry, he's a nobody. Just your basement variety nobody. Can't imagine him being connected to high caliber cases like this. But he does live nearby. Maybe it's a pedantic weasel. Fascists are known to be neat freaks. I feel like a real detective right now, Harry. Am I getting this right? He imitates bashing something with an imaginary baton. Say nothing. Of course, Harry. Stoic silence. I like that. Very befitting a police officer. He bows slightly in his chair. I'm not a real detective, you are. How do you know the mercenaries were hired by the shipping company? And not, say, for example, yourselves. To give yourselves gravitas. How do I know? Let me tell you about these people. He slams his fist on the desk. That's their MO. It's what they do. Last winter, some poor workers in Terminal E went on a little strike. The company sent in Sediment, a security contractor. The strike was over the workers' rights to wear protective footwear, Harry. These guys turn up and start beating people. Tell you what, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if we got the same mercenary company after a little rebranding. And I'm sure as hell not surprised to see an army of scabs under my gates. So you believe the scabs were organised by the security contractor? You said it. Hell, the fist slammed on the desk again, and one of these guys looks big enough to take down that proverbial elephant. Boys like that just don't happen to show up during strikes. The name of this company is Krenel this time. It might have been Sediment before. Of course, you're always one step ahead of me, Harry. I'm no genius. I'm in this position because people like me. There's a bullet in the hanged man's head. So they shot him. He sounds pleasantly surprised. He was shot in the head before he was hanged. How odd. The man shrugs. I don't know what to say, Lieutenant. They told me they hanged him. A hanged man is what I saw when I took a look into that yard. From your container that they carried over on a crane. Interesting. It's impossible to tell if he's telling the truth, sire. What I do know is the case is in safe hands. If anyone can get to the bottom of this shot at Hangman, it's my 2 little policemen. Godspeed, policeman. You mentioned a lawyer girl. Oh, Liz is a bright one. He grins broadly. I paid for the law degree myself. I think it'll probably turn her all fancy, but hell, Harry, she came back a firebrand socialist. Sometimes she scares me with her zeal. Tell me about Titus Hardy. Oh, they are simply fine young men, all 7 of them, exemplary union members always working to advance their position to the local socialist democratic movement, core members. Old Theo used to run them, but things really kicked into gear when Titus took the reins and named the group after himself. God love his initiative. Interesting, who's second in command? They're almost all of them great guys, born leaders. Whatever happened, I'm sure they only had the best of interest in Martinez and Ravachol in mind. Work with them, hell, interview them, but don't fight them. They really are just like you, men who like beer, women, and some order on the streets. He's betting on them being useless to you. Everett, I met these Hardys. Can you ask them to cooperate with me? But of course, it's the least I can do for my good friend Harry. I'll do it right after we've concluded this talk. You can now go and tell Titus about this, see what he has to say. Also, Harry, here's 5 real. He holds out a banknote. Yes, absolutely. Stop this bribery. I don't need it. I only want you to help me with the Hardy Boys. Oh, I wasn't offering it to you, just holding it out there. He pockets the bill, but I'm willing to share information. But I am willing to share information. Was there anything else? Let's conclude this for now. Was it a good talk? He leans back, suddenly worried. I'm not sure we made much headway here. I was hoping we'd bust the case wide open. Heck, I even wanted to tell you what I really want to achieve with the strike. I don't know what happened, Harry. I want you to feel like Mr. Martes, and of course, I also want you to find your gun. Great sadness comes over him, but it's like I can't completely trust you yet. Yet? Yes, Harry. It's like I can't fully trust you, if you're not a man of the left, he says. Slowly shaking his head. I want to, but I just can't. Man of the left, so you have to be a social democrat. He's been hurt too much in the past by men who aren't social democrats. What am I supposed? Well, none of these are really true. This is another corrupt scheme, isn't it? I'm neither left nor right. I do what my heart tells me to do. What does your heart... That's not a very nice achievement. The world's most laughable centrist. What does your heart tell you about your lost gun, Harry? Does it tell you to forget about it, or do you think it wants to be found? He picks something from his teeth. I think it's lonely and cold. I think it wants to be found, and I have a proposal for you. And what would this entail? Once again, I require nothing unethical or illegal of you. I just need you to get 2 little signatures on this piece of paper, and then mail it to my accountant in the Delta. What do you think of this, Kim? It depends. I don't think what we just got from Mr. Clare was very useful. He studies Everett, but he thinks it's your call. As I said, it weighs on me heavily. He bows his head in shame, then looks up and smiles. But once we get really talking, well, I'm going to hand you the keys to Martinet and maybe even help you figure out who's behind this killing. He's saying as little as possible, as vaguely as he can, deliberately omitting things. What are the signatures for? I'm glad you asked, Harry. The Union is going to build a modern youth centre in Martinez. It will be righteous. We're going to get those teenagers off drugs and on roller skates. There's a nameless little street on the coast with some old houses around it. Most people have already signed. I just need 2 more signatures to get this mission off the ground, Harry. What is this place exactly? On the coast, Harry, across the canal, there's a cul-de-sac there, a little village they're calling it, a gloomy place. You'll find it. I trust your detective skills, Harry. Water drips from the eaves. A woman looks on her freshly tarred skiff. There's a pair of cavalry boots under the fish in the box, and the wind howls like a vicious spirit. What will happen to the current occupants? They're just going to have to deal with construction noise for 6 months, and then they'll be living like kings, right next to a fancy new youth centre designed by the best architects from Stella Maris. Is he absolutely sure the tenants won't be thrown out in the street? Are you 100% sure no one's going to end up homeless? Am I? The big man shakes his head in disbelief. Harry, these people. Martinez is the most important thing in my life. I would never let anything bad happen to them. We're going to build a youth centre there. The value of their properties goes up, and kids have a place to play in. I'm looking out for these people, not pulling the rug from under them, Harry. I'm looking out for all Martinez, not just the harbour. I'm not going to do this. Perfectly acceptable, he smiles. No one's going to force you into anything, but I don't know about that gun of yours. You see, I'm a vengeful man, Harry. Part of how I got where I am is that, well, I can be quite nasty sometimes. But the good news is, the moment you change your mind and want to look into this matter, just tell me and we'll be buddies again. He smiles pleasantly. Lieutenant's eyes meet yours and he shrugs. Can we go over a few details concerning the murder again? Let's change the subject to nothing new. I don't want to get signatures for stupid things. I've changed my mind about getting these signatures. You bring joy to my heart, Harry. Such a pleasure to be working with you. Here, he hands you an open white envelope. You get signatures from Isabel Sadie and Lillian Carter. The cul-de-sac is right past the pawn shop and across the canal. I hear there is some trouble with the water lock, but they should be fixing it by Wednesday morning. Once you have the signatures, mail this to 13022 La Rocca in La Delta, then we can talk about your gun. He runs his finger through his hair. I'm going to leave now, but we might talk later. You take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12-40-month construction period and the zoning plan and the addendum. Try to find a loophole in the deal. There is no loophole. The simple truth is that the current residents are going to lose their street access, and for the next 12 to 40 months their lives will be dominated by constant construction noise right next door. Look, Kim, these people are going to have to move away. Can we do something about it? I should have seen it. The lieutenant frowns as he reads over the document again. Everett probably has eyes on us, but he pauses to think. We could try to get other people to sign this instead of those listed, or you could forge the signatures yourself. By the time he finds out, we'll already be gone. However, we need access to the coast before we do anything. Everyone won't believe you got village signatures if you... I'm assuming we're whispering, by the way. Can't even get in the village, he shrugs. You can try a forgery as soon as we get across the waterlock. Look at the zoning plans. The youth centre cuts into the ocean like the bow of some great modern ship. Apparently it's going to cover most, if not all, of the street in the square beyond the existing houses. It's 3 stories tall. It's going to be awfully close to the already existing buildings, almost wall to wall, practically integrating them into the youth centre. This is either ominous or cool architectural choice, hard to say. My money is on cool, looks like a cubic pyrite. Return the documents. Okay. We have progress. We have a lot of progress. I'm feeling very good at the moment. I think we'll need to make our way. I think Measurehead maybe will have more information for us. I don't think he is talking about the lawyer. I think he's talking about a different 8th person who we haven't met yet, or we have met yet and just haven't linked them up. But until then, thank you so very much for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.